All right, what's up, guys? We are live here, another Bananas episode. Fight Bananas, Dave Van Auken, but with me, guest Rich Donohue of the Fighters Legacy podcast. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing awesome, man. That was one crazy finish for a main event. Am I kidding me or what?
It was the show UFC DC just finished. It was a roller coaster, I thought. A
Yeah.
lot of ups and downs, a lot of really cool moments. I like shows like this. Pay-per-views are awesome. UFC 245, we got pay-per-view points, you got main eventers, you got superstars. I like shows like this. I feel like it's a build-in process.
Oh yeah.
Bryce Mitchell, star in the making. Even Rosenstrike there at the end. Guy's undefeated. The guy's literally jumping off the mat to punch Overeem. So just a lot of
Craziness.
built-in aspects.
Oh yeah. I mean, I totally agree with you on Mitchell. I mean, this guy's a walking soundbite. This kid. I mean, who hits the twister, takes the
Yeah.
guy's soul, like they say. I mean, it looked painful, and he's just everything. He reminds me of like a young Don Fry. Like everything out of his mouth is just gold. You know what I mean? I just love it. But for me though, Aspen Ladd really jumps out to me as well. I mean, here's a big statement after losing the GDR, and she comes out with Yana, who's a bigger girl. You know what I mean? And former champion, and she really makes a statement. I mean, dominated. But then what really separates that kind of fighter to somebody who's successful but doesn't quite get there is the killer instinct. And she came out in that third round and just boom, and it was over. So and like her coach was really pumping her up, and it was a really big
Yeah.
moment for her. Really big moment for her.
It was unbelievable. Like I said, I got my man the Kilburn shirt on. Room for him didn't go his way. Short notice fight.
Tough, tough. He showing the toughness though, no question. I mean, no
Right.
question about it.
Right. Okay, we got so much to go into, but like
Yeah.
I said, I really do. I want to shed some light on the podcast. I'm just a fan. I'm a diehard fan of this podcast. I listen to MMA stuff day in, day out. I create MMA stuff, content. I like to listen myself. I'm one of those guys, whatever.
Nice,
But
nice. Awesome.
we definitely listen to the show. We love it. I have 5, 6 questions here at the beginning. How did it start? Why did it start? Just all this. So, who chooses the guest? Is there a guest you would love to get and you didn't
Oh yeah.
come through?
Oh yeah.
All this nature. So I'll let you take it away with a couple of those.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, well, how did it start? I mean, Nate and I were best friends from college. I mean, like we met each other 20 years ago now, right? And we just the big thing between us is MMA, our love of the sport. I mean, like we just got so obsessed with it. Then we watched it before meeting each other, right? I mean, back in the days. But when I don't know, I think I lost you the video there. Well, my bad. But yeah. But basically, that really was really the foundation for our friendship. And like we really always wanted to create something together. At the same time, combine our love for MMA. And we really thought about, at this point being 40 years old, I kind of feel like we're kind of like the elder statesman kind of in the way of the fandom at this point. It's kind of weird. We just got done watching it on ESPN, you know what I mean? Which is so weird thinking about how long it's been, right? But
Amazing.
yeah, right. But when you're talking to like, people on MMA Twitter or, Facebook, it always surprised us how they don't really know some of these foundation guys. I mean, you may know a name, but do you know them? You know what I mean? Like, and it's shocked us how a lot more people should know about these guys. And that's where we came up with this thing where we always would create something, and at the same point, educate these new fans, preserve these guys' legacies, celebrate them, and at the same time, we want to do something for the hardcore fans like you and I. I mean, listen, you may know you know who Rodrigo Nogueira is, you know who Don Fry is, you know what I mean? But even then, talking to all these guys, we're not just regurgitating something on a Wikipedia page. We're really trying to drill down and talk to guys they fought, their coaches, them. You know what I mean? And really learn new things. I mean, I learned so many new things about these guys I thought I knew inside and out. I mean, I got the Boss Rutan Lifetime DVD set. I mean, but I'm learning new things about these guys. This is crazy. And, it's a passion project for us. I mean, Nate's a teacher. I work in the technology field. We're just trying to, do something for the fan base and for our fandom. Something that we'd want to see. That's what we're trying to do.
Absolutely, man. This is Rich Donohue, Fighters Legacy. Definitely check it out on YouTube and Facebook at A Fighters Legacy. The podcast is unreal. Apple Podcast.
Everywhere, man.
Everywhere you get podcasts.
Everywhere.
Look it up. You can get it. Well, yeah, I love you said you're talking to referees. You're talking to people inside and out.
Yeah.
I love the detail in it. Who came up with the concept of? I just love how it's done. It's to me, I'm a big something to wrestle.
Mm.
podcast guy, and it kind of reminds me of that. It's really, the steps of it and talking to different people inside out. Who came up with that concept?
I mean, I got to give a shout out to my partner, Nate. I mean, really, this is his brainchild. I mean, like, you know, we both love documentaries. We both love talk radio. I mean, like 3 to 30, Behind the Music, all that stuff. Love that stuff. And, you know, we felt at the same way, wouldn't it be cool to do something like that for MMA? But at the same time, I mean, it's just him and I. I mean, we're not going to have we don't have a camera crew. We're not going on location. So video is kind of out of the question at the moment, right? So why not do a podcast? We love podcasts. So something flexible like that. And, you know, and really he's the one who really wanted to try to blend that together. You know, it's really his deal in terms of the initial genesis idea of it. And, you know, I thought it was great. I mean, it's kind of a collaborative process. I mean, you know, going back and forth. That's why it's important to really have both of our voices, but really in the background. It's really about the guys we're talking to, honestly. But we want to. We can say whatever we want, but if I have Noguera saying it, if I have Dan Severin saying a story, it's better than me saying it. It's better than reading on a website. You know what I mean? It just gives more impactful that way.
Yeah, and I love one thing you said too that I really picked up on was about learning things about the fighters. I don't know if you listened to it. I just had Cub Swanson on. I've been watching Cub Swanson for over a decade on my TV screen.
He's awesome.
We got man's fought Max all the way. He fought Dustin the Diamond, beat Dustin the Diamond, Jose Aldo, Frank Igner, just a living legend in the sport.
Hell yeah.
Talking to him, having a great podcast, a great conversation. We're 19 minutes into it, and I find out he has twins. I'm about to have twins literally any minute. So if I got to run off the podcast, I got to take my wife to the hospital.
Nice.
So it's just so cool. You learn things that you would never know, details, and it's just kind of taking the curtain back a little bit. I love it. It's great.
Oh, yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, we learned from, like, our first episode was Kevin Randleman, and I think it was – and that really really set the tone for the whole – we really thank Kevin. I mean, Kevin really inspired us. We met Kevin – you know, we went to live events, you know, back when we were in college. I mean, we were at the first Zuffa-controlled UFC. We saw Tito slam Tanner on his head. You know, we saw Rizo versus Couture 1, you know, live. We saw these, and we met Kevin in one of these shows. And you know, basically, the fact he was so – I mean, you talk about the monster. I mean, this guy's jumping out of the cage 6 feet vertical. I mean, ridiculous, right? The monster, Kevin Randleman. And when you meet him in person, he was such a human figure. He was such a great guy. I mean, it felt like we were hanging out almost. It was weird, and that always stuck with us. And, you know, the fact now we have our first episode be Kevin Randleman, and you learn these crazy things about not only how great of a fighter he was, but a human outside. You know, we had a great story with a gentleman who he basically helped save from a suicide attempt. I mean, it's about as serious as it gets. I mean, he's about to commit the act. And then through Twitter, Facebook, social media, Kevin reached out to him, you know, had his number and basically talked him out of the whole situation and changed his life. And he's telling us that, you know, and I never knew that. And that shows the kind of man that Randleman was, because it's not something he's going to be like, oh, guess what I did? I didn't even know that. You know what I mean? It's just other people telling us that, his wife, this gentleman. And it's just like, that's the kind of man he was. And the fact that starts off the episode and the whole season for us really sets the tone.
Man, unbelievable. I love it. I love it. Definitely everyone go listen to it. I'm going to share this all on our Fight Fanatics media platforms. Likewise, we'll definitely connect people to it. So let's get into it. UFC DC. Like I said, it was a built-in show. And I usually don't do this. I'm usually a guy, moment guy, and, you know, whatever kind of pops up to me. But I was like writing notes during the show because I knew we were going to do this tonight. And I wrote down Bryce Mitchell, Aspen Ladd, and Rosenstrike. So those are the 3 studs. We'll talk to them about where they're going to go. But then 2 things I wrote down, and I'm like, it's not even this show particularly, but I think it really hit me. One, John Anik, Paul Felder, and DC is just unbelievable behind the mic.
The AAA team. They're the best team, for sure.
John Anik is a living legend, a superstar.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we talked about MMA Twitter. Someone on there wrote, in the last decade, has John Anik been the biggest sign-in in UFC? And it's hard to, they've had some big sign-ins, some females over, but like John Anik, there's just, his longevity is 30 years in the game. He's got 20 more years in the game. It's unbelievable. And then Paul Felder, a superstar. We all know DC behind the mic.
Great.
So that just like really jumped at me how amazing they are. And then 2 is the Stephen Struve, Ben Rothwell, it's the junkie shot,
Dude.
the fans cheering and losing. I got people there, and they're sending me videos about how how loud it was.
It's
I'm
crazy.
watching ESPN in my home, but how loud it was in Washington D.C., the Capital One, it was amazing. What can they do about nut shots? And secondly, to go to there, and I don't want to be negative. I'm always a glass full guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? The MMA fans in-house sometimes can be some of the worst fans in all sports.
Mm-hmm.
They boo way too much. They don't understand the technology.
They still don't, which is crazy.
Per each round. Right.
It's also, too, nobody's a bigger Ric Flair fan than me. The wooing's got to stop. Okay? I mean, the wooing, come on, guys. I mean, what are we doing? It's like the wave for MMA. I can't deal with it, okay? But, I mean, how hard were those nut shots? I mean, how hard is it? I've never seen a guy writhe on the ground and roll around like that. Like, that looked like he wasn't faking it. I mean, Stu's a tough guy. I mean, anybody gets in there is, right? But, I mean, the fact that he even get up after that, continue fighting, it was amazing. And then it happens again, and it's like, oh. But what I didn't like was Mergliata basically trying to, like, convince him to get up. Like, hey, I think he won both 2 rounds, and get up. And it's like, should he even be saying that? He's covering his mic, trying to say, hey, I'll take a point, da-da-da. And then he gets finished. I mean, what a heartbreaking thing for Struve, who was winning the fight. I'm not mind. And then,
it's a fine line. A big part of me is like, no, you shouldn't do it.
Right.
Everything's clean. But then there's, it's life. Sometimes if you got a friend who works in the police station and you get a ticket, you kind of call that guy.
Yeah.
Kind of budget. I felt like he was trying to be good to Stefan and say, hey, this could go this way. There's a minute 15 left in the round. You might be able to kind of get through it, get your bearings back, get in round 3. Because I think he thought he's winning the fight too. And if we take it away, it's a no contest. I get it.
But see, my thing is, okay, Mergliata's saying his side of things. Where's his corner looking to protect him? This guy just got blasted. He was saying he was feeling it up in his stomach. I mean, that's horrific to me. I mean, like, what he must have felt like, right? And where's his corner to say, hey, Mergliata, he's our fighter. Maybe we stop this right now. And, like, he's not, don't make him look like he's looking for a way out. The corner should take him off the hook with that. And, if he thinks he's getting hurt, you know what I mean? Where's his corner to protect him too? So that's my kind of feeling on that. But, Rothwell made it happen with Roethlisberger. With the dirty boxing, made it happen. I mean, he implemented his game and won. What can you say?
Absolutely. The Roethlisberger is tomorrow. Pittsburgh Steelers. That's another podcast for another time. Aspen Ladd, we talked about her. She kind of pops off the screen. It's weird to say the whole screaming aspect of it's a little bit different. Reminds me of Serena Williams in tennis. There's just something there. Her finish, her aggressiveness is really, I think, fans watching it, middle class, not, diehards like you and I, will kind of get behind Aspen like, dude, she's a killer. She's aggressive. I think Aspen Ladd is a dark horse championship contender early in 2020.
Oh, yeah, no question about it. I mean, here's a girl, too, that really, comes up kind of like, in a way, like a female GSP in a way. Great striking. Not great striking, great wrestling, but enough striking to make it happen. And at the same point, super classy, super, downtrodden in a way. Like, doesn't get too hyped. Nothing is above her, which I think is such a key aspect for a championship, winning the championship. And there's no question. I mean, listen, will she take on the next title shot? I'm not quite sure. I mean, probably the top 3 before, maybe a title eliminator beforehand, but I could definitely see her, competing for that title in 2020 for sure. No question.
And then Bryce Mitchell, the camo shorts, the Donald Trump shout out. The guy's got a superstar written all over him. It's a featherweight division, which is just stacked. UFC Ridiculous. 245 next weekend, mixed versus Alexander. So many guys underneath it. Bryce, if he just keeps rolling up, he's got such the back end. First round management's behind him, and first round management right now is just dominating the sports and mixed martial arts with Masvidal and everything else. John Jones with everything underneath. Bryce Mitchell's got a huge future in 2020. What do you think is next for him? You think it's a top 10 guy, top 15 guy, or you want him to pick up another win or two before?
No. Listen, he has a big push. He made a big splash on Tough. okay, clearly he's taking advantage of every mic in front of his face. And that is an intangible that you need to have. I mean, like, to make the, and he's finishing guys. I mean, like, he's thug nasty,
Yep.
undefeated. I mean, like, yeah, he lost on the show, whatever, but undefeated, okay, in pro fights. And yeah, he needs to be ranked now. I mean, he needs to fight a ranked opponent. He needs to move into that situation. I mean, I wouldn't be 145 is stacked, but listen, squeaky wheels get the grease, and we've seen it plenty of times where a kid watch him make a big splash, another big finish, talk a little bit more crap. He can get right up there. He can move quickly into the top higher echelon, top 10, despite the stacked nature of the division. I can see it happening just by the nature of his personality. If it happens right.
Absolutely. We brought him up once. I'm going to bring him up again. How about a Bryce Mitchell Cub Swanson fight in March or April?
That'd be a nice way. No disrespect to Cub Swanson, the legend. A nice, handing of the torch. I mean, here's the next generation of a guy like a Cub. The heart, the wrestling, the toughness. Another guy like that coming into the game. Cub, he's not going to let anything pass him by. He's not going to be a stepping stone to anybody. We know this. You know what I mean? But, he's a little further down the way than a Bryce Mitchell, obviously, right? So, hey, he could pave the way for the next generation. No question about it.
Absolutely. And we'll put a bow on UFC DC. We'll get into the main event just real quick, and then we'll go back into Fighters Legacy podcast. Like I said, my main man, Jacob Kilburn, was dominating island fights, 2 knockouts of the year almost potential. UFC Fight Pass gets the call, 10-day notice. We break the phone call. We make the phone call to Jacob, tell him that he's in the UFC. Kind of went viral. It was really cool.
It's awesome.
The fight. It was a tough fight for him. It was. I wish he could stand up more. And watching him and knowing Jacob, I know how much power he has. He has like this little magic thing, a little mystic mic in his right hand. But Billy had a good game plan. Billy went in. You got to give credit where credit's due. He was tough as hell.
The anaconda choke was very nice. The attempt right in the beginning. The anaconda choke, almost like Kilburn kind of stayed a little too long. And they even commented right away, because that's what's so great about DC and Felder, how they right away look at the grappling exchanges and explain it to people who don't understand what they're looking at right away. I think it's so great. He's like, got to fight the hands right away. And that small window closed quickly, and he was stuck in that. I mean, he didn't finish him with it. That clearly did a lot of damage and woke Kilburn up in a way. He showed a lot of toughness. I mean, he's got a future ahead of him. He's got a personality, and he's tough. That's going to take you teach either one of those things. So, you know what I mean? You can learn everything else. So.
Right. And then let's get to the main event. We got the Reem, a legend in the sport, one of the heavyweight, mainstays, always kind of a gatekeeper right there. And sometimes he wins that 2 or 3 in a row, and he's in that number 1 contender or a title fight. But Rosenstrike, he's just that new breed. It's 2020. He's just that. Literally, they showed the punch, and I've watched it 3-4 times. I really think when he makes contact with Overeem, both of his feet are up on the ground. He's like kind of floating, like it's almost like a Superman punch.
Mm-hmm.
Overeem's lip looks like Robbie Lawler.
It does.
Crazy performance. So now Rosenstrike challenging Francis Ngannou, who no one challenges, which is absolutely absurd. Can't wait. It's going to be a Rosenstrike kind of the year.
Rosenstrike, I could see him fight more of a Derek Lewis. I'd like to see that. You know what I mean? Well, that would be more. Right now, Ngannou I know he wants to reach for the stars. That's what you got to do, especially in a situation you knocked out a legend in Overeem in such a devastatingly crazy fashion, and you're on ESPN. Go high as you can with the call out. But I would see more of a Derek Lewis would be a perfect matchup for this guy. And where the actual main event itself, unfortunately, had a little, we had a potential of a rock'em sock'em heavyweight slugfest. It ended up being kind of lackluster, obviously, right? But this kid actually showed up. It was awesome. And, I'm trying to think about how this to go here. With Overeem, are we all set with Overeem? Is this it? I mean, like you're seeing, he tried new tactics, this time he tried to incorporate some more wrestling in his game that clearly frustrated, clearly frustrated, what's his face? I'm sorry. But Rosenstrike. Clearly frustrated Rosenstrike, but I don't know, man. I mean, like, they're even coming. They were having a problem with the finish almost, which I didn't understand. He was completely down on the ground and out. He got cracked hard. So, to me, it was a good finish. 47 wins, 39 years old. you don't want to go out on a loss, but I mean, I don't know how much do you want to see Overeem again? I mean, do you want to see him back in the ring?
I'm one of those guys, right? You're right.
Right.
I'm a glass half full guy. I never want to tell a guy when to stop doing his profession or what he loves, right? And also, I always kind of argue this is these guys, and I'm so much on the regional circuit and the scene, and I see how much they get paid and how much work and years they're putting in. And I don't have to tell you, they're getting paid 3 and 3 and 5
Right.
and 5, 8 and 8, right? So now Overeem, I don't want to go into too much detail. Maybe his paycheck for this card is humongous. It's
of course.
huge.
Oh,
so, yeah. Overeem's put in the work. It's one of those things you put in the work. You kind of deserve some of these at the end. So if he wants to put up one more or two more, and even want to boost up a younger fighter, a younger heavyweight, I don't mind it. I really don't. I don't want him to get hurt. I wish nothing but success and health. But if the man wants to make an extra 350K, I support it. I do. Hey, I want everyone to get there.
Up. Everybody gets their bread. That's all good. I mean, I'm not, for 100%. I'm not taking away from Overeem. Go on the whirlwind tour. I just feel that, the title run, it's not happening. I don't think upper echelon is happening at this point with Overeem, unfortunately. Yeah. I mean, and obviously shout out to Walt Harris. I mean, this should have been his night as well. I mean, with situation with him, that's just a tragic situation. There's no need to even get into it. We've all talked about it, but that should have been his night too. I mean, it is what it is. I'll leave it at that.
Right. Yeah. And it's kind of funny you said that. It's to be, I hate pulling back the curtain. We actually know a little bit more behind the scenes stuff. Walt's really close with Island Fights. Promoter Tool. Dean Tool is a great friend of the show. So, we were on the story at the very, very beginning.
Right.
But man, I got 2 boys. I got twins on the way. They're both girls. And as soon as it, at the second or third day, and so many other media sites were kind of pushing it or talking about it, I just got a bad gut in my stomach about just not promoting it, but just kind of, you know what I mean, bringing it to light, trying to get clicks. I haven't talked about it since. It's been 3 or a month. I haven't brought it up. Like I said, we've had details, we've had articles, all that stuff, and I haven't. I'm like, it just, man, family first.
Oh, yeah.
MMA family as well, and Walt Harris is in our inner circle. So I really have. I've stayed away from it. Yeah, man, this main event, this card was built for him. Like you said, I had him definitely defeating the Reem.
Yes.
And he was a fight or 2 away from a main event or a title fight. And, I don't know. I don't know if that man ever fights again. I don't know if I would ever fight again. It's like you said, it's so much more than just talking MMA and stuff like that and podcasting. It's like, man, I don't even know where to go. You know what I mean?
And you hate even bringing it up, but you got to. You're totally right. I mean, this was totally built for him. I mean, this was his coming out party. This should have been either Overeem's retirement party or Walt Harris's coming out party, and it didn't happen for him. And clearly, Rosenstrike made it happen. He took advantage of it. But, it's just really, it's a tragic thing. It's just, I hate hearing about it. I have 2 kids myself, and I feel the same way.
Right. So in the podcast game, we call this a transition.
Right.
And we're going to talk about the Fighters Legacy podcast. I would love to know, because I know how much time I put into it, research, getting the phone call, cutting, pasting, editing pictures. I know what I do.
Yeah.
How much time do you guys put in just for one episode?
Oh, man. Well, I'll tell you, when we finally cut the ribbon on we're starting this right now, we had an interview with Mario Sperry, and talking about January of last year. And it took us, 7 months to put out the 8 episodes because we want to put them out when they're all done. We don't want to have any kind of time crunch. We want to put them out as a season, 1 episode a week for 8 weeks. So we put out, in August, we put out episode 1 of season 1, and then that continued for 8 weeks. And we want to make sure they're all in a can first. So, yeah, 1 episode, it's hard to say because, you're interviewing one guy for one thing, you're writing for one, and you're recording another. So you're kind of doing a lot of things. And the fact that Nate and I both work full time and we're both fathers, you don't sleep, right? You just get it done. You know what I mean? So you think about 8 episodes, probably a month and a half per episode of work, solid work, it's really the most time consuming part is the procurement of the fighters. trying to find your way to that guy. I mean, that's really the hardest thing. I mean, we're writers. Nate's a writer. I'm a writer. We enjoy the sport, so the research isn't a problem. It's more of like,
Right.
I want to talk to this guy, and they don't have just a Facebook. So how am I going to get, so it's a whole like puzzle. And, my partner's very good at it. I mean, he's like a CSI technician I swear, I mean, I never knew this about my man. I mean, he's got to have it's crazy. He should be a detective. It's like, oh, I'm talking to this guy, and and how do you even find it? Oh, I called this gym, and he talked to this guy. He gets there, and it's a puzzle, and that's really the hardest part. But yeah, it's a lot of work, dude, for sure.
Absolutely. Like I said, man, we really are the fight fanatics. We love what you guys are doing. It's
awesome.
Just great content. One thing I would kind of question, like with both podcasters, have you recorded something or had something in the can? Sometimes, yeah, it is what it is. I can record 3-4 shows in one day. Have a show. I even have a couple literally next week. But if that fighter or their opponent gets hurt, that thing gets in the can. I had a beautiful interview with Brock Weaver. Unbelievable. Brock Weaver, if you know him, literally talks all heart. Unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Had it in the can, ready to put out. I'm like, I got a date for it, 2 days. And then that's when everything happened with USADA and the testing and all that. And it was gone. It was no more. So has that happened to you? And have you taken anything out of a podcast yet? There's like, oh, can't say it.
We're upfront with these fighters. Basically, we don't put anything out. We're not trying to dig up dirt on these guys. I mean, yeah, we want to show the conflict, but we don't want to, if something is kind of, we want to make sure the fighter's cool with it 100%, but yeah, I mean, we have a lot of, for example, we talked to Mark the Hammer Coleman, who is like one of the craziest storytellers ever. Okay. But he likes to talk. I mean, this guy, he's awesome. We love Hammer. But between our Kevin Randleman episode and his episode, we probably have 20 hours of talking to Mark the Hammer Coleman over the course of various times speaking with him. And that's way more than anybody else, right? But it wasn't the fact we're keeping Mark. He just loved it. So there's so much content what Mark gave us that you're trying to put it into an hour and a half show. It's like embarrassment of riches. So we have like all this stuff we're sitting on that's like, how am we even going to use any of this stuff? You know what I mean? And, that happens quite often. It's more of like, it's one thing that I talk to, a Vanderlei, and you have like 40 minutes and all that stuff's great and you're going to use it all, or, even worse, you're at the mercy of the telephone. Something happens and you won't quite catch something. You wish you had it, that type of thing, but when you have something like a Coleman who, just, you have so much. I mean, it's hard to find out what you want to do. You leave a lot off. It's unfortunate. Yeah.
Right. Wow. Unbelievable, man. Love talking to you. This is the first of many. I would love to really keep it going. Maybe after some big shows. Just love having you on. We just keep on talking MMA. We're always open. We'd love to have you back on. I want to give you the last minute or two, like a new listener, a new community. They've never heard of the Fighter's Legacy. They never heard of the podcast. You have these eyeballs on you right now. What would you say? And wrap it up in a minute of, this is who we are. This is what we want to get to. This is the content we want to get to. What would you say to new listeners?
Basically, if you're a fan of the sport, and if you're a true fan of a sport, you want to understand the history and where it came from, the foundation, and where it is from here. I mean, you got a guy like Conor McGregor that's, buying Transformers and on yachts. How did he get there? I mean, like, no disrespect to Conor. How did he get there? You got a guy fighting with no rules, making maybe $1,000 or nothing, and those guys rose out of that to achieve greatness. And they need to know about that. You need to know about that. The listener needs to know about that. And that's what we're trying to do with Fighter's Legacy. I mean, the guys, the Hall of Famers that we're trying to show that to you. And more than that, take it anywhere you want. I mean, that's the best part about the podcast situation. You don't have to sit down. Take you in your car. It's perfect for a commute. It's perfect when you're out getting to work. It's a fantastic thing. You'll learn a little bit about the sport that you just got done watching for the ESPN. I mean, that's what it's all about. And plus, we got the season 8 fighters, the legends: Randy Couture, Bas Rutten, Mark the Hammer Coleman, Kevin Randleman, Dan Severn, Ken Shamrock, Randy Couture, Vanderlei Silva. I mean, the who's who. Season 2, we're working on it now. Going to be out early 2020. Anderson Silva, GSP, Horace Gracie, and many more. So, we have more coming. This is, And we love to be back on, man, anytime. I mean, we can talk about it more. I mean, season 2. But I mean, don't think this is a one and done. We're here, and we want to keep providing that same content to the MMA community. That's what we're trying to do.
Unbelievable. Wow. You had me at GSP, Anderson Silva, Gracie. I can't wait to hear them all. Like I said, you got a fan here with Dave with Fight Bananas. Yeah, man, Apple Podcast, any podcast platform, A Fighter's Legacy. Check it out. Rich.
And we're also on, oh, sorry, David, too. And also Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Instagram, Twitter, at A Fighter's Legacy. Just all one word, boom. Facebook group is popping off. YouTube. We're everywhere as well. So, interact with us. We want to see what fighters haven't we done? I mean, like, that you would like to see. Please. I mean, like, we're open to suggestions. Interaction is important. We want to hear from you.
My suggestion, the greatest fighter in the world, the 2019 man, Georgie Masvidal. He is the man, the living legend. I got some behind-the-scenes stories with Masvidal. Will blow your mind. We'll talk off air.
Oh, I love Masvidal's the man. I love him.
Awesome.
BMF.
Rick, thank you so much. UFC DC, Fighters Legacy, Fight Bananas. It's blowing up, man. It's on fire. We're going bananas in 2020.
Beautiful, man. I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Later, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. Peace.